Hi there, welcome back to Age of Cinema. I'm Jonathan Strickland.
And I have no witty pun for this.
So, we've already endured your pick for Halloween.
Endured? More like enjoyed.
Hocus Pocus. We already watched Hocus Pocus.
And it was good. It was so good.
So today, I am introducing Shay to a horror movie she has never seen. It is the film The Changeling, which does not have Angelina Jolie in it. Don't even make that joke.
I want my son back!
Not that Changeling. It's The Changeling
Okay.
with George C. Scott from 1980. And so we're going to watch this ghost film. You've never seen it. You know little teeny tiny bits, I think, about it.
I mean, while I was picking up the DVD, I saw, like, the word seance in it.
Yeah, it doesn't really give you much. So this is a ghost story horror movie.
Yeah.
And it was made at the very tail end of the 70s, came out in 1980. So with that in mind, I'm warning you now, there will be hairstyles and clothing styles from the 70s. Then again, everything you own looks like it came from the 70s.
I mean, I kind of dressed up like a creepy 1970s child today, so.
Right.
Question.
Yes.
Do you find this more creepy than you find The Exorcist?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because Exorcist, to this day, still kind of freaks me out.
I think this movie creeped me out more than The Exorcist. The Exorcist, I think it's scary, and it's kind of a violent scary. There's some violence in this movie, too. But it's largely atmospheric, scary stuff.
Okay.
And I haven't watched it in a couple of years. I don't even know if I'm going to react to it anything like I did when I saw it for the first time.
Okay.
It's been a long time. And I've never watched it all the way through a second time, so this is technically going to be my second viewing.
So, you know, like my triggers with horror movies are like demonic things and kids dying.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Okay. Get ready for the first few minutes of this movie. Okay. Because this movie, first of all, there's not really any food related to this movie.
No pea soup.
I thought I could have maybe gone with something that would have been kind of reminiscent of the 70s, maybe early 80s era. But all the food that came from that time period is terrible for you.
And you can't eat it, because a lot of it's spam, and you can't eat that.
Meatloaf, or like Jell-O, which I also can't have because it's got gelatin in it.
Oh, yeah. You guys don't eat Jell-O?
No.
Okay.
Because it's got gelatin in it, which typically comes
cow.
from animal.
Yeah.
So, so we couldn't really do that. But then I thought, wait a minute, this movie is set in Seattle, which is why our snack,
Our snack.
We got coffee from Starbucks.
Sponsor us, Starbucks.
It's also in Seattle.
I got my my pumpkin spice drink with white mocha in it. It is not called the Cinderella, as the internet would like you to believe. I invented this drink years ago, and it's called the Headless Horseman.
Basic bitch.
Hashtag basic bitch. No shame.
I got a black coffee.
Hashtag boring bitch.
I will have to pee 4 times in the middle of this movie.
I might, if I get too scared, I might just pee right here.
If at the end of this, when we're having our discussion of after the movie, I am not sitting on the couch, you'll know how things turned out. All right, so we're going to shut this down.
Okay.
We're going to watch the movie, and
so
then
that George C. Scott doesn't sue us.
We'll have our discussion afterward and get your reaction about what you thought about The Changeling.
Sweet.
All right, we'll see you guys, like, literally in a blink of an eye.
Okay.
So, we just finished watching The Changeling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ghost movie.
It's a ghost movie.
First question I have to ask
An intrigue movie, yeah.
I have to ask you, Shay. Did you find it at all scary or creepy?
A little creepy. I was biting my nails. At some point, I think I started biting your nails.
There were a couple of moments where I had to convince her to take her hand away from her eyes.
I didn't like it. I was like Shaggy and all in the damn Scooby-Doo.
So there were some moments of creepiness.
Yeah. Okay, I liked it. I liked it. It's a fine horror film. It's a fine horror film. I liked it. I would watch this before watching Exorcist again. I definitely would watch this. Again, spoilers. There's not one but 2 child deaths in it. Somewhat
technically 3, but one of them you don't see at all. You just hear about how it
Oh
happened.
yeah, technically, yeah. I guess 3.
Because there's a red herring.
Yeah, which is
Or 2 red herrings, really.
And I'm gonna get into that for a second. Okay, so it's a ghost story. It is first and foremost a ghost story, but it implies the way it's shot and the way the acting is sort of it's almost reminiscent of like a Columbo episode.
It's a bit of a murder mystery ghost story.
Yeah, it's like a murder mystery, and that's fine, except you don't get to go on the journey of how the mystery is solved. In that way, it is kind of like Columbo. You know, like the joke with Columbo, like 20 minutes in, you already know what happened, and the rest of the time you're just watching Peter Falk be funny.
Yeah, because Columbo, the way a typical Columbo episode opens is you see what happens, and you know who did it. And so really you're just watching Columbo, who apparently knows immediately who did it at the very beginning, as soon as he walks into the room.
But he has no proof.
Yeah, so then it spends the rest of the time like turning the screws until, you know, whoever did it.
Until he's annoyed everybody into confessing.
Right, they're like, alright, fine, I did it.
Fine, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
And then he reads a storybook about a Princess Bride.
This is a ghost movie and a murder mystery.
Yeah.
Together.
But it's not a mystery, though, because almost immediately, okay, so it follows the normal structure of a ghost story. Tragic opening, just spoilers. George C. Scott, John Russell, that's his character's name, he has lost his wife and daughter. The first scene of the movie, he loses his wife and daughter in like a freak truck driving snow incident.
Yes. And
it's very reminiscent of Pet Sematary, and that's why I was like, I don't like this, I already know what's happening. So that happens. And so that's how a lot of ghost stories and scary movies start now. There's the tragic opening, the tragic backstory of the main character. They still do that nowadays. Midsummer, I just saw Midsummer, same thing happened. And then they go somewhere else. They can't be where they are anymore, so they got to travel somewhere else. Also a staple of ghost stories.
So he relocates from New York
to
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah.
And
so he goes to Seattle and takes on a job
as like a composer / music professor.
Yeah, he's teaching at a university. He is a composer,
and
which is weird because his family is a decomposer.
Oh my god! Oh my! You were waiting the whole time to make that joke. I picked you up from your house, drove you here, and you're just sitting there. You knew you were going to make that joke.
So he ends up renting this place.
He rents this place, and
weird stuff happens.
Well, and it's they. What I would have liked is that the first instance you see of something being creepy. The first instance is he's playing the piano, and he stands up, he walks out of the room. The camera is just in this empty room, and you see one of the keys go down, and it makes a noise.
Yeah, before it was the key that would not play.
And now it's going down. Here's what I would have liked, because later on, while he's playing piano, you see a door open behind him. What I would have liked to have seen the door opening first, or somehow, because that can get explained away easier, because you can see that the caretaker has opened the front door, and that happens in old houses. If you open the front door, the draft will push open another door. I would have liked that because it allows you to be like, it lets you be rational for a second. That's what a good horror story does. It lets you makes the rational decision.
Well, in this case, what the movie does...
But because the key goes down, you already know that there's a ghost in there.
Well, that's the thing, though. We, the audience, know, but the character doesn't. The character has not yet come to the realization that there is... As far as the character knows, there's nothing wrong with the house yet. So part of the story is the composer, first is terrified, and then is trying to figure out...
Communicate back.
Yeah, Russell is trying to figure out how he can help this spirit And he especially feels a lot of empathy toward the spirit as he learns more about what happened to it.
So the script wants us to believe that he feels a great sense of empathy towards this ghost child, because, like, spoilers, the ghost child was killed by his father, basically
by the ghost's father,
not
by John Russell's father,
and simply for, like, monetary gain. And John Russell, he just lost his wife and child, so obviously he feels a sense of, like, fatherly empathy towards this ghost, and and you can see, like, he's horrified at the prospect, like, he just lost his child, and here this man willfully, destroyed the life of his child. I know that's what the movie wants me to see. George C. Scott is not that good. So he loses his wife and child, and the moment where he, like, zooms in, the camera zooms in after he lost his wife and child because he witnesses the accident, that is good. He does a good job emoting there, and that's the end of it. That's the end of him emoting. I did not see any because the entire time. Oh, someone's messaging me. But the entire time, maybe he's so stone faced, and I get it. It's like people experience grief different ways. But later on, I actually asked him. I said throughout the movie, a little earlier middle of the movie, I say, I'm perturbed by how little the death of his family is affecting him. And he's like, oh, well, just wait. And then, so, like, 2 scenes later, it's implied that he has a bad dream because he has a flashback to the accident and he wakes up crying. I feel like that scene was fixed by the editing. Because if the scene was just supposed to be him crying at night, like, over his dead family, it was such hammy crying, and it was so unbelievable. It was literally, like, melodramatic, like, high school play crying that I feel like the director had to put in that flashback scene so that oh, is he laughing or is he crying? I can't tell. I just didn't. The script wants me to know that he has a fatherly empathy, and I can put aside my pedantic brain and put in my suspension of belief where I'm like, okay, that's what he feels like, but I'm looking at the acting. And he's just not that good of an actor in this movie.
I fully disagree. I completely, 100% disagree with
I knew you would.
One, as someone who has had some pretty ragged, ugly jags, that crying scene is very accurate to how I get when I am, like, 100% completely distraught.
I've seen you cry. You do not cry.
You've seen me weep.
It doesn't look like you're laughing when you're crying.
You haven't seen me sobbing, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So, one, it's very similar to the way I get when I'm, like,
sorry,
inconsolable, as I will be soon if people don't stop messaging you while I'm trying to make my point.
I'm sorry.
And then, on top of that, I would say that particular approach, those choices are pretty indicative of the concept of what a grown man's grief looked like around the time the film was made.
Okay,
which is ridiculously, not ridiculously, but overly stoic. I grew up in a world where that's what grief looked like.
Oh, okay. I'll rescind a bit of my criticism. That's fair. I have seen that done in movies where it's kind of like that stoic withdrawal and then you break down by yourself. I've seen that done in movies. I've just seen it done a little bit better than what George C. Scott. So I really liked it. I'm glad that I liked it way more than Exorcist. I'm glad you introduced it to me.
Yay.
And I might watch it again around the Halloween time.
Yep. And now we're going to transition to the next holiday. Not the next one. We're skipping Thanksgiving, apparently.
It's racist. It's racist and turkey tastes like napkins, to quote Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
So I guess we won't be watching Thanksgiving. Or Thanksgiving 3.
Is there no 2?
That's the plot of Thanksgiving 3.